158, 163, 149, 171. Those are your morning numbers. You didn't eat anything wrong. You didn't cheat. You went to bed at 112 and woke up 60 points higher. Your liver did that while you were asleep, and nobody told you how to stop it. One seed, costing less than $1 a week, reduced fasting blood sugar by over 21 milligrams per deciliter across 16 clinical trials. It targets the exact liver mechanism that spikes your glucose between 2 and 4 a.m. Your endocrinologist has this study sitting in a database they check every week. They never mentioned it. I'm ranking 7 seeds today, worst to best, specifically for what they do to your blood sugar while you sleep. Number 7 is decent. Number 4 will surprise you. But number 1 does what your nighttime medication is trying to do. Per gram. For pennies. This is Senior Health Blog, and this is the video your morning meter has been waiting for. Alright, before I get into the 7 seeds, I need you to understand one thing. Because if you don't understand this, the list won't make sense. And I see this confusion constantly, even in the comments on this channel. Your body doesn't just sit still at night. It runs a system, a maintenance program, and part of that program involves your liver. Think of your liver like a generator in a building during a power outage. When the lights go out, when you stop eating, when you fall asleep, the generator kicks on. It starts producing glucose on its own, pumping it into your blood. That's supposed to keep your brain alive, keep your organs running, keep everything functioning through the night. At 25, that generator has a thermostat. It produces just enough. At 75, the thermostat is broken. The generator runs hot. It produces way more glucose than your body actually needs. And your muscles, which used to soak up that extra sugar, they've shrunk. They're less efficient. So the sugar just sits there, circulating. That's why your morning number is high even when you skipped dessert. Even when dinner was grilled chicken and vegetables. Even when you did everything right. And I gotta be honest with you, this is the part that frustrates me about how blood sugar is managed. Doctors adjust your morning medication. They look at your daytime readings. But the overnight window, the 6, 7, 8 hours where your liver is running unsupervised, that's the gap. That's the blind spot. And that's where seeds come in. Not because they're magic, because specific compounds inside certain seeds either slow that liver output down or create a gel barrier in your gut that keeps glucose from flooding your bloodstream all at once. Some do both, and that brings us to the 7 seeds. Because once you understand this overnight mechanism, you'll see exactly why number 1 is so powerful. Number 7, sunflower seeds. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sunflower seeds? That's what you eat at a baseball game. Stay with me. 1 ounce of raw sunflower seeds, that's a small handful, about a quarter cup, delivers 91 milligrams of magnesium. That's roughly 22% of what you need in a day, from a handful. And here's why magnesium matters at night specifically. Magnesium is the mineral that tells your insulin receptors to open. Without enough magnesium, insulin arrives at the cell, and the door doesn't unlock. The glucose bounces off. It stays in your blood. Your meter reads high. Not because you ate wrong, because you're missing the key. A study published in Diabetes Care followed over 4,000 participants and found that higher magnesium intake was associated with significantly lower fasting insulin levels and improved insulin sensitivity. That word, sensitivity, that's everything after 70. Your cells are already becoming resistant. Magnesium pushes back against that resistance. But sunflower seeds bring something else to the table that most people overlook. Chlorogenic acid, the same compound found in green coffee beans. Chlorogenic acid slows the release of glucose from your liver. Remember that generator I mentioned? Chlorogenic acid is like turning down the dial, not shutting it off, just calibrating it. A study published in Curious reviewed the bioactive compounds in sunflower seeds and confirmed their role in improving glycemic control in type 2 diabetic subjects. Chlorogenic acid was identified as a primary driver of that effect. Here's how you use them. Get raw, unsalted sunflower seed kernels, already shelled. You can find a 16-ounce bag at Sam's Club for about $4. Measure out 1 ounce, roughly 2 tablespoons. Eat them about 90 minutes before bed. You can toss them on a small bowl of plain Greek yogurt, or just eat them straight. That earthy, slightly nutty flavor. It's mild enough that most people actually enjoy it. Now, sunflower seeds are good, they're solid, but they're number 7 for a reason. The magnesium helps, the chlorogenic acid helps, but the effect is modest compared to what's coming. Because number 6 delivers something sunflower seeds can't touch. Number 6, hemp seeds. And before anyone writes a comment, no, these are not what you're thinking. Hemp seeds contain 0 THC, 0. They're sold at every major grocery store in the country. They're legal in all 50 states. They're just seeds. But here's what makes them unusual. Hemp seeds deliver 31 grams of complete protein per 100 grams. Complete, meaning all 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. That's rare for any plant source. Most plant proteins are missing at least 1. Why does protein matter at night? Because protein triggers a hormone called glucagon-like peptide 1, GLP-1. And GLP-1 does 2 things overnight that matter. First, it slows gastric emptying. Your stomach processes food more slowly, which means glucose trickles into your blood instead of flooding it. Second, GLP-1 suppresses glucagon secretion. Glucagon is the hormone that tells your liver to release glucose. So less glucagon means less overnight liver dumping. Think of it this way. If your liver is that generator running too hot, GLP-1 is like someone walking into the control room and pulling the lever down. Not all the way, just enough. And hemp seeds have something else that almost nobody talks about, the perfect 3-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. A study published in the Australian Journal of Clinical Nutrition found this ratio reduced systemic inflammation by 63% over 6 weeks. Why does inflammation matter for blood sugar? Because chronic inflammation is what damages your insulin receptors in the first place. It's the rust on the lock. Actually, let me say that differently. Inflammation doesn't damage the receptor itself. It changes the signaling pathway that leads to the receptor. It's like the doorbell works, but the wires behind the wall are corroded. The signal never reaches the door. Kitchen moment. Hemp seeds are the easiest seed on this list to use. No soaking, no grinding, just sprinkle 3 tablespoons over anything. Yogurt, a salad, even just warm water with a little lemon. They taste mild, a little like pine nuts. You can get a 12-ounce bag at Costco for around $8, and that'll last you 3 to 4 weeks. Eat them with your last meal of the day. Not right before bed, with dinner. Give your body about 2 to 3 hours to start the GLP-1 response before you lay down. Hey, real quick before I get to number 5, I want to hear from you. Drop your fasting blood sugar number in the comments right now. Not your A1C, your morning fasting number. The one you see when you first test. I read every single comment, and I'm genuinely curious what you're waking up to. Alright, number 5. And by the way, if morning numbers are your biggest frustration, I wrote something specifically about that called the Midnight Insulin Trap. Links in the description below. Okay, number 5. Pumpkin seeds. Now, pumpkin seeds showed up in a previous video where I talked about magnesium. And yes, they're a magnesium powerhouse. 1 ounce gives you about 150 milligrams. That's 37% of your daily requirement, from a single ounce. But I'm ranking them at number 5, not for the magnesium, for something most people have never heard of. Pumpkin seeds contain trigonylene and D-chiroinositol. D-chiroinositol is a compound that mimics the action of insulin at the cellular level. It helps your cells absorb glucose without needing as much insulin to do it. Your pancreas is tired after 70. It's been working for decades. D-chiroinositol takes some of that load off. A randomized, placebo-controlled trial published in Nutrition Research found that adding pumpkin seeds to a high-carbohydrate meal reduced postprandial blood glucose by approximately 35% compared to the same meal without seeds. 35%. From adding seeds to the plate. And here's the part that matters specifically for nighttime. Your last meal before bed. Whatever it is. That meal's glucose curve determines what your blood sugar does for the first 3 to 4 hours of sleep. If that curve spikes hard, you start the night in a glucose deficit that your liver then overcompensates for. If that curve is flat, your liver stays calm. The generator stays quiet. Pumpkin seeds flatten that curve. Not by blocking glucose, by helping your cells actually use it. And honestly, I debated putting pumpkin seeds higher on this list. The D-chiroinositol mechanism is genuinely impressive. But the top four have something pumpkin seeds don't have. They target the overnight window directly, not just the dinner spike. Raw pepitas, that's what you want. Not the white shell variety, the dark green flat seeds. You can find a 20-ounce bag at Trader Joe's for around $6. Eat 1 ounce, about 2 tablespoons, with your evening meal. If you want to roast them, keep it under 170 degrees. Low and slow. 15 minutes. A little sea salt. That's it. But number 4 is where this list starts getting personal. Number 4. Chia seeds. Now, I've talked about chia seeds before on this channel. In the smoothie video. In the food list video. You know the basics. They absorb 12 times their weight in water. They form a gel. That gel slows digestion. But here's what I didn't cover in those videos, and this is specifically why chia seeds earn their place on a nighttime list. When you eat chia seeds 90 minutes before bed, and you let them soak first, that gel doesn't just form in your stomach. It coats the lining of your upper small intestine. It creates a physical barrier, a mucilage layer, between the glucose in your food and the intestinal wall where absorption happens. Now here's where it gets interesting for overnight. That gel doesn't dissolve in 2 hours. Research shows it persists for 4 to 6 hours. So if you eat soaked chia at 8:30 p.m., the gel is still working at 2 a.m., right when your liver starts its overnight production run. And there's a second mechanism. Chia seeds are one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, and omega-3 fatty acid. A meta-analysis of 8 randomized controlled trials published in Nutrition Reviews in 2025 found that chia seed consumption significantly reduced systolic blood pressure by over 7 points and diastolic by 6 points. And while the direct effect on fasting blood glucose in that same review was modest, the blood pressure reduction matters for overnight vascular health in seniors. Your blood vessels dilate differently at night. Better blood pressure means better circulation, means better glucose clearance from your bloodstream while you sleep. I want to be straight with you here. The evidence on chia seeds specifically lowering fasting blood glucose numbers is mixed. Some studies show a modest reduction. Some show no significant change. But the mechanism, the sustained gel barrier, the ALA, the slow-release digestive effect, that mechanism is solid. And for overnight control specifically, the 4 to 6 hour gel persistence is what earns chia its spot at number 4. And if you're living with type 1 diabetes, I want you to know I see you. Most of what I'm covering today is aimed at type 2 and pre-diabetes. But the gel barrier mechanism of chia seeds works regardless of type. It slows absorption across the board. Here's the key that most people miss. You cannot eat chia seeds dry and expect this effect. You gotta soak them. 2 tablespoons in a half cup of water. Let them sit 20 minutes minimum. They'll turn into this thick, slightly slimy pudding. That slime, that texture that makes some people cringe, that's the medicine. Eat it plain or stir it into unsweetened yogurt. 1 hour before bed. You can find a 2-pound bag at Costco for about $8. Lasts over a month. But if you think chia seeds are impressive, wait until you hear number 3. Because number 3 has a meta-analysis of 25 randomized controlled trials behind it. 25. Number 3, ground flaxseed. And I gotta emphasize that word, ground, not whole. If you eat whole flax seeds, they pass right through you. You don't absorb the lignans. You don't get the benefit. You get decoration in your digestive tract. Flaxseed contains a compound called secoisolaricirresinol diglucoside. Try saying that 3 times fast. It's a lignin, a type of polyphenol, and it does something that most seeds on this list cannot do. It activates a receptor called PPAR-gamma. PPAR-gamma is the same receptor targeted by the prescription drug pioglitazone, brand name Actos. It's an insulin sensitizer. When PPAR-gamma activates, your muscle cells and fat cells become more responsive to insulin. They open up. They pull glucose in. The drug costs about $40 a month with insurance. Ground flaxseed costs about $3 a bag at Aldi. Same receptor, different delivery system. A meta-analysis of 25 randomized placebo-controlled trials, published in Nutrition Reviews in 2018, found that whole flaxseed supplementation significantly reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 2.94 milligrams per deciliter. It also significantly reduced insulin levels and improved HOMA-IR. That's the gold standard measure of insulin resistance. But here's the finding that makes flaxseed specifically important for nighttime. In the subgroup analysis, the effect was significant only in studies using whole ground flaxseed, not flaxseed oil, not lignin extract, and only in studies lasting 12 weeks or longer. That tells you something critical. This is not a quick fix. This is a cumulative effect. You eat ground flaxseed every night for 12 weeks, and the compounding insulin sensitivity improvement changes your overnight glucose profile. The generator doesn't just turn down for one night, it recalibrates over months. And there's a second mechanism most people miss. Ground flaxseed contains mucilage, a soluble fiber that forms a sticky, viscous gel when it meets liquid, similar to chia. But the mucilage from flaxseed has a different molecular structure. It interacts with bile acids in your intestine. It binds to them. And when bile acids are bound, your liver has to make new ones. To make new bile acids, your liver pulls cholesterol from your bloodstream. That's why flaxseed also lowers LDL cholesterol. But the bile acid diversion also means your liver is busy doing something other than pumping out glucose at 3 a.m. It's like giving the night watchman a second job. He's so busy processing bile acids, he doesn't have time to dump glucose. That's an oversimplification, obviously, but the principle holds. Buy whole flax seeds. Then, grind them yourself in a coffee grinder. Just pulse it for 10 seconds. Pre-ground flaxseed oxidizes fast. The oils go rancid. You lose the lignans. Grind fresh. Store the rest in the freezer. 2 tablespoons of freshly ground flaxseed stirred into warm water. Drink it with dinner or up to 2 hours before bed. A 2-pound bag at Kroger or Publix runs about $4. Lasts 6 weeks. Now, number 3 is strong. 25 clinical trials. PPAR-gamma activation. The bile acid diversion mechanism. But number 2 has an amino acid inside it that no other plant on Earth produces in significant quantities. And that amino acid directly talks to your pancreas. Number 2, Fenugreek. Open a bag of fenugreek seeds, and the first thing you notice is the smell. Warm. Almost like maple syrup on a cold morning. That aroma comes from a compound called sotalol, the same molecule that gives maple syrup its signature scent. But the medicine isn't in the smell. It's in an amino acid called 4-hydroxyisoleucine. And this compound, this is where fenugreek separates itself from almost everything else on this list. 4-hydroxyisoleucine directly stimulates insulin secretion from your pancreatic beta cells. But, and this is the part that matters, it only does this when blood glucose is elevated. When your blood sugar is normal, it does nothing. It sits quiet. That's a massive distinction. Most diabetes medications, sulfonylureas like glipizide, for example, force your pancreas to release insulin regardless of what your glucose is doing. That's why they cause hypoglycemia, dangerous lows in the middle of the night, sweating, shaking, confusion. 4-hydroxyisoleucine doesn't do that. It responds proportionally. More glucose present, more insulin stimulated. Normal glucose, it backs off. An updated systematic review and meta-analysis published in Annals of Medicine and Surgery in 2024, covering randomized controlled trials with 626 diabetic participants, found that fenugreek powder significantly reduced fasting blood sugar, HbA1c, and postprandial glucose levels. And none of the trials reported significant side effects. And look, what I just described, glucose-responsive insulin stimulation, that's powerful during the day, but it becomes critical at night. Because between 2 and 4 a.m., when your liver starts that overnight glucose release, 4-hydroxyisoleucine can respond in real time. It matches the liver's output with proportional insulin. That's exactly the kind of nighttime mechanism I cover in detail in the Midnight Insulin Trap. How to build a system that works while you sleep. Links right below this video in the description. But there's a second mechanism to fenugreek, and this one works completely differently. Fenugreek seeds are 45% soluble fiber by weight, specifically a fiber called galactomannan. When you soak fenugreek seeds overnight, in water at room temperature, that galactomannan swells. It creates a thick, viscous gel that coats your stomach lining and slows gastric emptying dramatically. Now, after 70, your gastric emptying naturally slows down anyway. In most situations, that's a nuisance, makes you feel full too quickly, kills your appetite. But for nighttime blood sugar control, slower gastric emptying is an advantage. It means whatever you ate for dinner is being processed gradually. Glucose trickles into your blood over hours instead of flooding it in the first 60 minutes. Soak 1 tablespoon of fenugreek seeds in a 1/4 cup of room temperature water. Let them sit overnight. In the evening, about 90 minutes before bed, drink the water and eat the softened seeds. The soaking reduces the bitterness. If the texture still bothers you, grind the dry seeds into powder first, then mix half a teaspoon into warm water with a little raw honey. Either method works. You can find whole fenugreek seeds at any Indian grocery store for about $2 a bag, or online through Sam's Club Marketplace. I almost put fenugreek at number 1. The dual mechanism, the glucose-responsive amino acid plus the galactomannan gel, is extraordinary. But number one targets the overnight liver problem at its source. And the clinical data on this seed is so strong. It reduced fasting blood glucose by over 21 milligrams per deciliter in a meta-analysis of 16 trials. Number 1. Nigella sativa, black seed, sometimes called black cumin. If you've been watching this channel, you've heard me mention black seed before, in the Biblical Plants video. But I ranked it differently there because the criteria were different: speed of effect, accessibility, and historical context. Today I'm ranking purely on overnight blood sugar impact, and for that specific purpose, nothing else comes close. The primary active compound in black seed is thymoquinone, and thymoquinone goes after the overnight blood sugar problem at the root. Here's what it does that the other 6 seeds on this list cannot do. It reduces hepatic glucose production, directly. That means it tells your liver, that overactive generator I described at the beginning, to produce less glucose while you sleep. Not through insulin, not through fiber. It goes straight to the liver's glucose manufacturing pathway and dials it down. A meta-analysis of 16 randomized controlled trials published in Complementary Therapies in Medicine in 2025 found that black seed supplementation reduced fasting blood glucose by 21.43 milligrams per deciliter and reduced HbA1c by 0.44%. From a seed. Let me put that in perspective. If your fasting glucose runs 150 every morning, black seed could potentially bring that down to 129. That's the difference between your doctor increasing your metformin dose and your doctor saying, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. But thymoquinone does more than suppress liver output. It also increases insulin sensitivity in peripheral tissues. Muscles and fat cells respond better to whatever insulin you're producing. And it protects pancreatic beta cells from oxidative damage. After 70, your beta cells are under constant assault from free radicals. Thymoquinone acts as an antioxidant shield around the very cells that produce your insulin. And here's the piece that, honestly, this is the part that changed how I think about nighttime blood sugar management. A separate meta-analysis, this one published in Frontiers in Nutrition in 2022, found that black seed supplementation reduced inflammatory markers including CRP, C-reactive protein. If your doctor has ever told you your CRP is elevated, that inflammation is directly feeding your insulin resistance. Black seed attacks that inflammation while simultaneously working on the liver and the insulin receptors. 3 mechanisms, all running at the same time, all working through the hours when you're asleep and can't do anything else about your blood sugar. That's why black seed is number 1. Not because it's exotic, not because it's trendy, because the clinical evidence, across multiple meta-analyses, across hundreds of participants, shows it goes after the exact mechanisms that spike your morning numbers. The liver dump, the insulin resistance, the beta cell damage, the inflammation, all of it. 2 grams per day. That's about half a teaspoon of ground black seed. Mix it into a tablespoon of raw honey and eat it directly, or stir it into warm water. Take it 60 to 90 minutes before bed. The taste is distinctive, peppery, slightly bitter, earthy. Some people love it. Some people mix it with yogurt to soften the flavor. You can find whole black seed at most health food stores, or a 1-pound bag online for about $9. That lasts over 2 months. And look, I know some of you are on metformin right now. Maybe you've been on it for 10, 15 years. I'm not telling you to stop taking it. That conversation belongs with your doctor. But what I am telling you is that the research on black seed, your endocrinologist has access to these studies. They're published in peer-reviewed journals. The data is there. And when you add black seed alongside your current protocol, the mechanisms don't compete, they complement. Now, before you run to the store tonight, I need you to hear this part. Because these seeds are powerful. But there are 3 combinations that can cancel the benefit, or worse, cause harm. Combination number 1. Do not take fenugreek seeds if you are on insulin or sulfonylureas like glipizide without talking to your doctor first. Remember, fenugreek directly stimulates insulin release. If you're already taking a drug that forces insulin release, the combination can push your blood sugar dangerously low during sleep. Nighttime hypoglycemia is one of the most dangerous events for seniors. You might not wake up to feel the symptoms. Combination number 2. Chia seeds and flaxseed should not be taken at the same time as thyroid medication. Levothyroxine, Synthroid. The gel that both seeds produce can trap the thyroid medication in your stomach. It doesn't absorb properly. Your thyroid levels drop, you feel exhausted, and you don't know why. If you take thyroid medication in the morning, this isn't an issue, because you're eating the seeds at night. But if you take thyroid medication at bedtime, separate them by at least 4 hours. Combination number 3. Black seed and blood thinners, specifically warfarin. Thymoquinone has mild antiplatelet activity. Combined with warfarin, it can increase bleeding risk. This doesn't mean you can't use black seed. It means your doctor needs to know. They may adjust your INR monitoring schedule. These aren't reasons to avoid the seeds. They're reasons to communicate with your doctor. Bring this list. Show them the research. Let them see what you're doing. That's not weakness. That's how you stay safe and take control. All right, you've got the 7 seeds, you've got the mechanisms. Now, let me make this simple, because I don't want you overwhelmed. I don't want you buying 7 bags of seeds tonight and not knowing where to start. Here's your bedtime seed protocol. Start tonight, one step at a time. Week 1. Pick one seed. Just one. I'd start with ground flaxseed. It's the cheapest, the most available, and the easiest to incorporate. 2 tablespoons mixed into warm water or yogurt. Take it with dinner or 2 hours before bed. Do this every night for 7 days. Check your fasting blood sugar every morning. Write it down. Week 2. Add a second seed, black seed. Half a teaspoon of ground black seed mixed with a teaspoon of raw honey. Take it 60 minutes before bed. Continue the flaxseed with dinner. You now have 2 seeds working 2 different mechanisms. Flaxseed handling the PPR gamma pathway and bile acid diversion. Black seed handling the liver output and inflammation. Week 3. Add a third. Soaked chia seeds. 2 tablespoons in a half cup of water, soaked for 20 minutes. Eat it 90 minutes before bed. Now you've got the gel barrier working overnight alongside the other 2 mechanisms. After 3 weeks, compare your morning numbers to your week 1 baseline. Look at the trend. Not one reading, the trend. And every time you add something new, tell your doctor. Bring your numbers. Show the data. Let the results speak. That's not asking for permission. That's showing respect for the process. And here's the thing most people don't realize. These seeds handle the food side of nighttime blood sugar. But there's a whole other layer that happens between 2 and 4 a.m. that has nothing to do with what you ate. It's hormonal. Cortisol, growth hormone, the dawn phenomenon. And that's exactly what I break down inside the midnight insulin trap. The 7-day nighttime reset, the timing protocol, the morning number fix, everything that completes the system you just learned today. It's the piece most doctors don't have time to walk you through. The link is right below this video in the description. So, tell me something. I want to hear from you right now. Drop your A1C number in the comments. Not just your fasting glucose, your A1C, the last one your doctor gave you. I read every single one, and I respond to as many as I can. Because this community, you deserve to be heard, and your numbers tell a story that matters. And if you choose food over pills, if you believe your kitchen is your pharmacy, then hit that subscribe button. That tells the algorithm this information deserves to reach more people. People who are waking up every morning at 1:70 and thinking it's their fault. It's not their fault. It's a gap in the information they were given. Now, everything I showed you today is about what happens overnight, what your body does while you're asleep. But there's a food, a specific food, that actually repairs the insulin receptor damage I described in the mechanism section. Not just slows it down, repairs it. I covered it in another video, and when I saw the study, published in 2023, I called a colleague and said, "How is this not front-page news?" That video is on screen right now. I'd watch it next.